are generic von Carstein vampire lords, and you get in patch 6.0. Now, with 3 legendary lords from this storied family, let's blow through this and find out about the differences between this and a usual generic vampire lord. Because bloodlines and good breeding have to count for something, right? And yes, it's officially the second 6.0 video, but very little has changed with counts, but I'm checking to make sure if they slipped in something while I was otherwise occupied. Upkeep begins at 250 default, just like the regular. On foot, we find absolutely no discrepancy whatsoever until we reach melee defense, which is +5 in favor of the regular lord. This pattern holds true until we get to the zombie dragon, where the difference is +6, again in favor of the regular lord. And since one of you actually thought I was taking too many shortcuts last time, the general pattern is Barded Nightmare adds 20 armor, greatly raises speed, turns the lord into a large entity, adds to charge bonus and mass, but Hellsteed does not add armor, adds even more to speed and flies, same charge bonus, and substantially less mass than the Nightmare. Otherwise, combat stats are 100% identical. Zombie Dragon is a flying monster, and if you want more details, follow the card to the generic Vampire Lord video, which goes in a lot more depth. Okay then, what about the skill tree, or this is going to be a really short video. And yes, I checked in-game, this tree appears completely untouched for 6.0. The future may hold new twists, though. Here, we see some tomfoolery. Of course, the blue lines and red lines are identical, but here in the skill tree, it's mostly the same as usual with Das Macabre and Raised Dead, but Gaze of Nagash is replaced by Flock of Doom. In lots of cases, that's a great trade-off. Later on, he gets Wind of Death, yes, but instead of Curse of Years, he gets the 1-pip Lord version of Transformation of Kadon, giving you a Feral Manticore to inflict upon your foes and get a lot of attention, absorb damage for you, and so on. -6 Winds of Magic compared to the base version. Still, I want to call this a loss because Curse of Years is that potentially good. Oh well, you can get Necromancer heroes easily. The yellow line is completely identical with our old friends Bloodlust and Red Fury back with a vengeance. So too the Dark Majesty, Dark Pact, and Grave Ward shenanigans. Consult the Vampire Lord video for the longer version. So, what about special skills? At rank 10, Cattle Herder is 1 pip to grant you an additional Sylvanian Crossbowmen unit. You get some for unlocking bloodlines, you get some like this. Vlad likes them, but he cannot increase their number. In a faction hurting badly for its own non-alliance ranged firepower, hey, it can help, and your front lines tend to hold up from sheer mass. At rank 10, Benevolent Overlord grants the Guardian ability, which is kind of absurd on a lord, but what it does is grant 15% physical resistance to heroes or friendly lords within 35 meters. It's otherwise constantly on. Yes, that's useless against magical attacks and a lot of spells and direct damage, but failing that, think of how it makes Banshees and White Kings nigh invincible. Honestly, you kind of want this around Necromancers to keep them in the fight. Unlike, Manfred. These guys have a pretty fleshed out personal line past that, so at rank 10 you get to start going down it. Fell Nest reduces construction cost of forest chain buildings by 50%, reduces time spent constructing those buildings by 1 turn each, and offers -100% upkeep for Fellbat units in his own armor. I have just discovered the Fellbat's Doomstack. Where have you been? This is where you were hiding! Okay, I just slightly, but if you have a Carstein Lord, just carry around, 18 free Fellbat units, and farm them out to other armies as replacements or use them as reinforcements, and they're free, you can do a few things with that. Zooming out, Isabella von Carstein has a lot of synergy with forest building chain units herself, so this is a big strategic boost to setting more of these up like they're her own personal Gardens of Moor. Mist Form provides the Carstein Lord with plus 15% speed. I remind, because it's important, this lord gets a Hellsteed and a zombie dragon as mounts. Moreover, this pip provides missile resistance 10% for dire wolves, and physical resistance 10% for dire wolves as well, and both of those things make the wolves strangely legit in a non-Isabella army, though they're still dire wolves, and will still get shredded against certain stuff, but that's how it goes. Brooding Horrors provides -40% upkeep for Vargheists units, +2 recruit rank for Vargheists as well as Fellbats, and local recruitment time -1 turns for Vargheists. Let's just stop in awe and stare for a little bit. Oh wow, Vargheists are some of your most effective units in the current state of the game, and being able to fast build forest chain buildings and load up on Vargheists. Keep in mind this is through normal recruitment. Just makes things so much better. Even if he's just ferrying them to other armies, it's totally worth it. Storm of the Night is a 3-uses ability that I've seen on Isabella and Vlad, and this is a great opportunity to go over it in detail. Cooldown is 9 seconds, far from extreme, duration is 22 seconds, and from what I see as current data, it's minus 60% speed, and while it's shown as a vortex spell, only the actual target takes damage. Effect range of 35 meters must mean the slow effect, but personally, I've only been using it against isolated flying lords, Call France, Elspeth, Azag. Against those, this is amazing. Costs no winds of magic, and what's better than free damage? And the damage seems to be listed here as 67 per second on Ultra. It's significant, and slowing down an Azag on a Wyvern and so on means you can get away cleanly. And also it helps for the tactic using the last pip, which is Sylvanian Marksmen grants plus 10% range and plus 10% missile strength for Sylvanian Crossbowmen, and the one handgunner unit you can eventually unlock. Now, the point isn't that you can get lots of them, you don't. The point is that the ones you do get allow for a massive curveball in your tactics, and unless the enemy can get at your, now actually existing, missile backline, in a long battle they can fire every last crossbow bolt or bullet and get great value. Helping erase an isolated hero is good too. Now, I just need to note that the other ones you had to go in sequence after unlocking the first pip, but for Sylvanian Marksmen, you can get that by itself at rank 5 without influencing anything else here. I guess I just put it there because, well, there's space. So with all that said, how do we use the von Carstein lords? Well, the economic benefits eventually loom large, but aside from that, since they start out with immortality, they're leading candidates for the one-man army tactic, which you can modify into one-man army and lots of free bats. Tiny changes notwithstanding, it's basically an immortal vampire lord, and those were already great, reflecting their status in tabletop apparently. I'm just kicking myself for not having tried them personally, so only now do I see the gigantic synergy with Isabella and Vlad, and that includes being a feeder army for either or both. In other words, this is your baseball farm team manager, as long as your team is composed of creatures. And it's nice to see someone other than Isabella do a great job with the forest tree stuff. The synergy is really too strong to ignore, but Vargheists are just plain monsters out there, in various senses. If the enemy cannot destroy them in time, it is right to abuse them in battle. Take care and have fun having 1,000 fellbats descend upon a hapless small settlement garrison. Well, you have to admit it's a funny mental image.